The conference room smelled like expensive leather and greed. 2:47 p.m. on a Monday afternoon. 15 relatives packed around a mahogany table, all dressed in black they'd wear to exactly one more event after this, the reading of Grandma's will. The worst part wasn't how they'd ignored her for 3 years while I changed her bedpans. It was watching my cousin lean forward with that shark smile when the lawyer said, "Substantial estate valued at $8.3 million. 6 months earlier, I was living in Grandma Eleanor's guest room that smelled like lavender and old books. The wallpaper was peeling in the corners. The heating worked in exactly 2 rooms. But it was home. "Morning, sweetheart," Grandma said from her chair by the window. The same chair she'd sat in for 40 years, the cushion molded to her shape. She was 89, sharp as ever, embroidery needle flashing in the morning light. I brought her tea, Earl Grey, 2 sugars, a splash of milk, every morning at 7:15 a.m. for 3 years. "Family calling today?" I asked. She laughed, this dry sound like rustling paper. "Oh, honey, they'll call when I'm dead, when there's something to inherit." She wasn't wrong. The phone sat silent on the side table. No calls on her birthday, no visits at Christmas. Just me and Grandma and the nurse who came Tuesdays and Thursdays. My aunt had visited once in 3 years, stayed exactly 18 minutes, long enough to catalog the antique furniture with her eyes, asked if Grandma had gotten her affairs in order, left without even finishing her coffee. "They don't know what they're missing," I said, settling into my chair with my own tea. Grandma's eyes twinkled. "Oh, I know exactly what they're missing, and soon, so will they." The call came on a Wednesday, 4:32 a.m. The hospice nurse's voice was gentle. "She's asking for you." I made it in 11 minutes. Grandma's hand felt like tissue paper in mine. "The blue box," she whispered. "In my closet, behind the hat boxes. That's for you. Open it after the reading." "Grandma, promise me, after the reading. Let them show who they really are first." She squeezed my hand with surprising strength. "And sweetheart, don't let them bully you. You're stronger than you think." She was gone by sunrise. The funeral was packed. 200 people who couldn't be bothered to visit now filled St. Mark's Cathedral, dabbing eyes that had never shed tears for her while she lived. My cousin cornered me by the reception table. "So sad," she said, loading her plate with shrimp she didn't pay for. "We should have visited more." "Yes," I said, "you should have." She didn't catch the edge in my voice. She was already calculating, eyes distant. The house alone must be worth millions. Prime real estate. My uncle joined us, breathing hard, his 3rd plate of food. "We'll need to talk about the will. Get everything sorted quickly. Fair distribution." He emphasized fair like it was a weapon. None of them spoke to me about Grandma, about her laugh or her stories or the way she hummed while she embroidered. They spoke about assets and valuations and market rates. I excused myself and cried in the bathroom for 17 minutes. The lawyer's office was all dark wood and judgment. Attorney Morrison had handled Grandma's affairs for 30 years, a woman with steel gray hair and eyes that missed nothing. 15 relatives crammed into chairs meant for 8. My cousin perched on the edge of hers like a vulture. My uncle kept checking his watch. My aunt had brought a calculator. Attorney Morrison opened a leather folder with careful precision. "The last will and testament of Eleanor Catherine Whitmore, executed 6 months ago." "6 months?" my uncle interrupted. "Why so recent?" "Mrs. Whitmore was of sound mind and entitled to update her wishes." Attorney Morrison's voice could freeze water. "Now, shall I continue, or would you prefer to keep interrupting?" Silence. Grudging, resentful silence. To my family members, she began reading, and I watched 15 spines straighten with greed. To the relatives who remembered me in death, but forgot me in life, I leave the following. Attorney Morrison's voice was perfectly neutral, but something flickered in her eyes. Amusement? Satisfaction? To my niece Patricia, my collection of porcelain figurines, valued at $50. Patricia's face went purple. $50? Mother had jewelry worth— Let her finish, Attorney Morrison said, ice in every syllable. To my nephew George, my set of encyclopedias from 1987, valued at $25. Uncle George stood up. This is ridiculous. We're contesting this. She wasn't in her right mind. Mrs. Whitmore underwent full cognitive evaluation by 3 independent physicians. She was completely lucid. Now sit down. He sat. The list continued. 15 relatives, 15 insulting bequests, a broken clock, a box of yarn, a single decorative plate, a lamp that didn't work. The total? $847 in tchotchkes, divided among people who'd expected millions. My cousin was shaking. Where's the rest? The house? The investments? Attorney Morrison looked directly at me. To my granddaughter Fiona, who gave me 3 years when no one else would give me 3 minutes. The room went silent, predator silent. I leave my entire estate. The house at 1847 Maple Drive. All investment accounts, currently valued at $8.3 million. My jewelry collection, appraised at $400,000. And all remaining personal property. The explosion was immediate. What? She can't— We're family too. This is theft. Attorney Morrison raised one hand. The room fell silent again, but it was the silence before violence. Additionally, she continued, and her voice held that note of satisfaction again. Mrs. Whitmore included a letter to be read aloud. Fiona, this is for everyone to hear. She handed me a cream envelope. My hands shook as I opened it. Grandma's handwriting, steady and sure. I read, To my dear relatives, if you're angry right now, good. Feel that anger. Sit with it. For 3 years, Fiona woke at 6 a.m. to help me dress. She drove me to every doctor's appointment. There were 47 of them. She held my hand through chemotherapy. She read to me when my eyes got too tired. She laughed at my jokes and cried at my stories and made my last years something more than waiting to die. Where were you? You, Patricia, called once in 3 years. Once. You asked about my will and left. George, you sent a Christmas card. 1 card. No visit, no call. Just your name printed on someone else's sentiment. The rest of you? I got more attention from telemarketers. I was not senile. I was not confused. I knew exactly who cared and who was waiting. Fiona didn't know about this will. She helped me because she loved me, because I was her grandmother, not her inheritance. That's why she gets everything. That's why you get tokens, physical reminders that you valued my things more than you valued me. If you contest this, my attorney has instructions to donate the entire estate to charity. You'll get nothing. Fiona will get nothing. And my final act will be teaching you that love cannot be bought, sold, or inherited. Only given. Choose wisely. With disappointment, but not surprise, Eleanor. The silence after I finished reading lasted exactly 8 seconds. Then my uncle stood up so fast his chair fell backward. This is manipulation, elder abuse. She poisoned Eleanor's mind. Careful, Attorney Morrison said softly. That's slander. Fiona has witnesses, hospital staff, neighbors, the hospice nurse, all documented in Mrs. Whitmore's files. She tapped the folder. 17 separate individuals willing to testify that she was the only family member who visited regularly. My aunt tried a different approach, her voice going syrupy. "Fiona, honey, we know you were close to Mother, but family shares. That's what Mother would have really wanted." Mother wrote exactly what she wanted. Attorney Morrison's voice could cut glass. In explicit detail. After extensive legal consultation, this will be ironclad. "We'll sue!" My cousin's voice shook with rage. "We'll tie this up in court for years!" Attorney Morrison smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. "Please do. I have 3 decades of documentation showing Mrs. Whitmore's mental acuity. I have medical records, video testimony, and signed statements from every healthcare provider she saw. I have her journals. Yes, she kept journals, documenting every visit, every call, every card she did or didn't receive." She opened another folder, thicker. "I also have the records of the trust she established to cover all legal fees for Fiona's defense. You'll be fighting a $500,000 legal war chest. How much are you prepared to spend?" The calculation was visible on their faces. Greed versus greed. Patricia tried one more time. "At least the house. We have memories there." "You have 18 minutes of memories," I said quietly. My voice surprised me. Steady, strong. "I have 3 years. I know which floorboard creaks. I know the garden she planted. I know where she hid her reading glasses and why that closet door sticks and how the kitchen smells on Sunday mornings." I stood up. The blue box from Grandma's closet was in my bag. I could feel its weight. "You don't want memories. You want money." And Grandma knew the difference. I looked at Attorney Morrison. "If they contest, donate it all, exactly like she said." My uncle's face went from red to white. "You'd throw away millions out of spite?" "No, I'd honor Grandma's wishes, because unlike you, I actually listened to what she wanted." The threat hung in the air, real, absolute. One by one, they looked away. Attorney Morrison began passing out the trinkets, the figurines, the encyclopedias, the broken clock. My cousin held her inheritance, a decorative spoon, like it might bite her. "This is humiliating." "Yes," Attorney Morrison agreed. "I believe that was the point." They filed out in bitter silence. Not one of them said goodbye to me. Not one of them acknowledged the 3 years I'd given. But then, they never had. Attorney Morrison and I were alone in the conference room that still smelled like expensive leather and greed, but now also like victory. "She planned this for 6 months," Attorney Morrison said, allowing herself a real smile now. "Every detail. She wanted them to show exactly who they were before the hammer dropped." "The blue box?" I asked. "Open it." Inside was a letter and a small velvet pouch. The letter read, "My darling Fiona, if you're reading this, you handled them better than I expected. I raised vultures, but you have grace. The money is yours, the house is yours, but more importantly, the memories are yours. The real inheritance isn't what's in the bank. It's the mornings we shared, the stories I told you, the recipes we cooked together. Love isn't something you get. It's something you give. You gave it freely, expecting nothing. That's why you get everything." The pouch contains my mother's ring, your great-grandmother's. She gave it to me when I understood that family is not who shares your blood, but who shares your burdens. Wear it. Remember. And when you have children of your own, teach them what you taught me in my final years, that presence is the only present that matters. I love you, sweetheart. I always will. Grandma. That The ring fit perfectly. 6 months later, I'm sitting in Grandma's chair, my chair now, embroidery needle flashing in the morning light. The house smells like lavender and old books and fresh paint from the repairs I finally could afford. The phone rings sometimes, my relatives, voices careful, asking how I'm doing, wondering if I might reconsider, share a little, just to keep the family together. I keep the calls short, because Grandma taught me the most important lesson of all. Love cannot be negotiated, purchased, or inherited. It can only be given freely, or not at all. And some people don't learn that until it's too late to matter. I take a sip of my tea, Earl Grey, 2 sugars, splash of milk, and I smile. Grandma would have loved this.